Okay, today on This Is Investing, I've got a guest live from FinCon. Jenny, welcome to This Is Investing.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
So, can you tell our audience a little bit about you, what you do for life, for work, for fun, anything that you think might be relevant before we ask you these questions?
Of course. Well, my name is Jenny. I am the founder of Worth the Happiness. I'm a personal finance content creator and also a financial coach. I focus a lot of my content around building wealth for those who are first generation, like myself. And so I think there's a lot of challenges when it comes to being the first in your family to pave the path when it comes to building generational wealth. And so I really share my experience and my journey on how I've been able to pay off 6 figures of debt and also be able to support my parents along the way in my journey.
Yeah. So, your parents immigrated to the States?
Yes. So they immigrated from Vietnam, and I was the first one in my family to be born in America.
Wow, amazing. Well, there's a bit of background for these questions that I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
What makes a successful investor in your mind?
A successful investor is someone who can really put themselves in a position where they think long-term and can think about both their present and their future self. So I think, being able to put that into perspective and understanding that it's not just about instant gratification, but being able to think long-term is what makes a successful investor.
Awesome. And just for those watching or listening, is Instagram the best place to jump on with you?
Yes.
Yep.
My main platform is going to be Instagram, and you can find me at Worth the Happiness.
Awesome. Okay, retirement investing or non-retirement investing, why or why not?
Ooh, okay. I'm going to have to say retirement investing.
Interesting.
Yes.
Now, okay, this is interesting. How old are you?
I am 32.
32. So a lot of people your age might not say that. So talk to us about why retirement investing for you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly, going back to my answer from the previous question. I think a lot of people aren't able to put themselves in a position to think long term. There's a lot of data out there. And even now today, there's so many people who are not prepared for retirement. And so I think being able to make sure that you are putting yourself in a position where you're taking care of your future self is so incredibly important. And that comes from my experience of being able to see my own parents. Like, they don't have a retirement. They didn't understand investing. They didn't understand what like a 401k is, a Roth IRA. They didn't have those opportunities. And so I am in a position with my siblings and I where we are our parents' retirement. And that's a huge, obligation to kind of put and, on yourself. And it's hard. So I think that being able to put yourself in a position when like, hey, if you plan on living for a long time, it is going to be incredibly important to make sure that you can take care of yourself. And if you plan on having a family, it's just reducing that burden on others. So
yeah. And just to carve out for our Australian audience, in the US, there are some schemes where you don't get a compulsory retirement savings. So in Australia, if you're employed, the employer puts a compulsory 12% of salary into retirement savings.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's why it's an interesting
different
question.
Yeah.
Where most people in Australia who are 30 would be like, no, I'm not investing in our superannuation or retirement savings.
Yeah.
I'll invest outside because I can't get that money until age 60 or 65. So just a bit of context for everyone listening. We don't need to know if you've got a mortgage or not, but if you do, or if you had a mortgage for a property, and you had extra money in your life outside of maybe putting money in retirement, would you focus on paying down that mortgage or investing elsewhere in ETFs or property?
Ooh, that is a good one. What would I personally do?
You can answer these questions however you like.
Okay. Well, I would say I would want to put extra money into paying down the mortgage because I just think that being able to have that freedom of feeling like, hey, I can pay this off significantly faster. I mean, I've run the numbers, even just for family members and everything. Just making a few extra payments can cut down years. And just think about like if you can cut down years of, how much money you'd be putting into a mortgage, which is most of the time the biggest chunk of money for most people, from their paycheck, then you would reach financial freedom like so much quicker, and you could be able to do a lot more with that. So I think I would probably put the extra money and pay down my mortgage faster.
Yeah, awesome. What do you think the biggest barrier is stopping people from investing or even just getting started with their investing?
I think it's just the fear of losing money. I think there's a fear of, and that I think that comes from just also not truly understanding how investing works. Because I remember when I first started investing, I kind of mentioned it to my family, and they were just so baffled and was wondering, like, why would you invest?
Did they correlate that with potentially gambling?
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like they just don't understand it, right? And when people don't understand it, you think that you can, and even now, I coach a lot of clients and they have a huge fear of investing because they're afraid of losing money. But then you have to kind of educate them to understand, like, hey, you don't lose money until you sell at a loss, right? So being able to comprehend, I think it's just the fear of thinking that like my money's not safe is what prevents people from actually like getting started to do it. And just the whole mindset around, like that, they know that when it comes to investing, things can go up and down, but I think the fear of losing money is what really prevents people from starting.
And it's almost that to remove fear and risk is information and education, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you think you have to be smart to be good with money?
No. I don't think you have to be smart to be good with money. I think that some people are very lucky and they could, maybe they're not the smartest, but they're willing to take risk and action and just doing it. So I think there's a lot of successful people out there who maybe other people might perceive them not as like the smartest individuals, but I think those who are willing to take risks, because even with investing, right, you have to have some level of like risk tolerance. And if you are one who's not going to take any action, then you're not going to get any reward or results, right? So, of course, I do think that education is important. So that's what I would say to that answer.
No. There's no right or wrong answers. And if they are wrong, I'll let you know.
Okay.
No, joking. What is your definition of success and have you made it?
Ooh, that is a really good question.
Now, this doesn't need to be financial. It can be whatever you want.
I think success for me is just being able to feel proud, like, of yourself and where you're at in your life. And if it's not just financially, right? Like you said, I think just being happy. So my whole, I guess, like mantra is like making sure that you're able to feel happy with your choices and
that's
like,
the name
life.
Of your platform, right?
It is.
Worth the happiness.
Worth the happiness.
So what is the price of happiness?
The price of happiness is making sure that you're being authentic and genuine to your values. So really, truly understanding like what matters to you. Like for me, like you asked, like how do I, if I've made it, I feel like I have worked really hard throughout my whole life. And I want to say that I am very happy and I feel like I've made it because my whole values is very like family driven, making sure that I could support my family. And I think one of the biggest milestones for me that made me feel like, hey, I've made it is I've been able to confidently like take over like my parents' bills without feeling like it's a burden on me. Like that was something that was such a goal for me. And I think that's going to look different for everybody else. So what is it that you truly value? What are your goals? What do you care about? And then I think making sure you're very genuine and authentic to that can really have you live like a very happy life. And that to me makes me feel like you've made it.
In the Western world, and particularly in Australia, it's just not spoken about or expected or common for children to financially support their parents. Do you cop much like incoming fire almost from people who might not understand that cultural thing? Or was it ever spoken about from your parents?
It was definitely
hey, little Jenny, when you grow up, you're going to pay all these bills.
Oh, they definitely, my mom always tells me like, oh, you're going to take care of me when I'm old.
Yeah.
Like that's just culturally, I think that's just how it is. I went to go visit Vietnam a couple years ago and found that a lot of my cousins and stuff, they were like living with their parents, and it's a cultural thing. I do think that it's not maybe as common in America. I do think that you will see that a lot with those who are first generation, though. It does not just with like Asian American communities, but like even those in the like the Latin community.
Yeah.
Just if you are first generation, you're kind of there. Like there's certain cultures where it is. This is why like they have families. Like they support each other. They're kind of making sure that they are having children so that they can support them in the future. It is like kind of difficult. But to answer your question about like, do I feel like there's maybe like fire for those who maybe don't understand it? I think that there are a lot of people who may not be able to relate, but I've never seen anyone. Actually, I lied. There are some. I have actually received comments on like my videos before where I talk about like supporting my family, and there's always some outliers where there's like, oh, they're very negative. Like that's not why you have children. Like that's, they have a very negative perspective on it. Like you shouldn't be doing that. And but then that's where I realized like, hey, they just don't understand.
Yeah. And it's not a burden for you. It's just
Yes,
part of
exactly.
your life.
Yeah. And for some people, and that's where I say like, oh, how do I know I've made it? Is that at some point when you have been able to focus so much on yourself and making sure that you're achieving like your goals, then you know that if it's no longer a burden, that's where you've like made it. Because there are a lot of people where it is a burden, but we need to then reevaluate and like focus more on yourself so that you can be able to give back to your family if that is like a goal of yours.
Yeah, awesome. Well, these short 10-minute episodes usually wrap up about now, but we're going to keep going. And usually I don't put a mid-roll ad in these episodes, but I will to pay the bills because I don't work for free, and neither should you if you're out there watching or listening. We'll be back right after this. Okay, if you had a spare $10,000 walk into your life today, what are you doing with it and why?
If I had a spare $10,000 right now, I would probably save it because I actually have recently been communicating and saying that I want to save up $10,000 to go to the Pacific Islands.
Okay.
And do it like first class, stay in nice places. Like I want like a dream vacation where I was like kind of put like a number to it. So if you're asking me, and now at this point in time, that's what I would do.
Yeah, you'd spend it on a holiday.
Yeah.
Love it. Where do you want to go? Like Fiji, Samoa, Solomon Islands?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Maybe like Tahiti or the Cook Islands or something.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think has been your best investment to date?
Myself.
Yeah.
Myself.
Love it. Talk to us about that. Why are you the best investment?
Because by investing in myself, my education, I got my MBA, I invested in programs that helped me grow my business. It allowed me to then reach my, goals of being able to help my family, be able to buy gifts for my, my nieces without like feeling like it's a financial burden, like being able to achieve so many different things and also grow my career and make more money.
Yeah.
So I feel like the best investment has definitely been in myself and my education and, my skill sets so that I could then reach my goals.
And it's probably clear for people to understand that your Worth the Happiness online profile, that's your side thing. You've got a full-time career and job in in the medical type industry.
Yeah.
Biotech, I think, or something.
Yes, biotech.
Yep. Awesome. What are you currently reading or listening to?
I am going to be honest. I am reading From Blood and Ash. It's a romantasy book.
Yes.
I have lived my whole life. I've always just like read a lot of personal development. Everything is all about growing and growing. I feel like I needed something that was just pure enjoyment, just fun, something so like different.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to pick up on a hobby. And so I just recently got into reading romantasy, and I discovered that genre is totally for me.
Yeah,
so,
romantasy. I've never heard of romantasy.
Yeah. Okay, I have to recommend the book Fourth Wing for anyone who hasn't read it yet. That was the entry point. I read it a couple of months ago, and since then I've read 6. I'm on my 7th novel.
Okay. What we'll do in the comments and show notes, I'll get you to text me some titles.
Oh, yes.
And we'll put them in for people who want to get into
good.
romantasy.
Romantasy.
Is that
so
like,
good.
was Twilight romantasy?
I think they said Twilight was romantic. I'm not a huge Twilight fan, but
Yeah.
I'm telling you, like Fourth Wing is so good. It's a lot of action. It's a lot of, about dragons.
Yeah.
But of course, there's a little bit of romance sprinkled into it. So it's great.
Love
you
it,
get
love it, love
the
it.
best worlds.
If there was one book that people should read to be a better investor, what would that be?
I would say
The Quick Start Guide to Investing by Glen James and Nick Bradley. What?
Of course.
Yeah.
No, definitely that book. The one that comes to my mind is The Psychology of Money.
Yes.
I love that book so much. I think that, the behavior, the mindset around it's just so
We
good.
don't need any more books on money after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's always like, of course, like educational how-tos, but I think the real deep core of like human behavior and how we think about money and how it affects like, our lives. I think The Psychology of Money really hits the spot on that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Jenny, is there anything you want to say to my audience that maybe I didn't ask you?
Now, I feel like you've gotten a good amount of questions in, so I don't really have much more to add. I feel like, for anyone out there who is building wealth for the first time, it's a hard journey, but if I could do it, you can do it too. And and that's what I would say. It's just, always be true to yourself, be authentic. And as long as you continue to stay inspired, then you will always be able to achieve your true happiness.
Amazing. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll put details of Jenny's Instagram in the show notes and the description and all that. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorized representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.